Spiritual maturity is typically achieved through gradual development on the path. As one's ego becomes progressively aligned with higher truth. Sudden awakening is indeed possible, however, it is quite rare and would be the consequence of much spiritual work and progress from previous lives. For the average seeker, spiritual maturity will take time, effort, patience, and practice. Seeking spiritual or higher truth is not the same as seeking worldly, intellectual knowledge. Spiritual truth is not of the ego and is not concerned with material gain, success, and survival. It is concerned with the liberation and reality of the spirit. One's spirit or soul is one's personal stream of consciousness. A spark of the divine, infinite field of consciousness, the absolute, non-dual reality, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Becoming spiritually mature is to realize the truth of one's existence more and more deeply. We are not merely physical form bodies. Our consciousness is not simply a product of the brain. Our actions do have consequences, and there is a higher reality to our existence. This higher reality is the truth we are seeking. It is our home. It is our destiny. As we seek awakening, enlightenment, or salvation, we are guided and pulled higher and higher. Our consciousness and awareness expands as our egos gradually diminish and our karma becomes purified. As spiritual development unfolds, one's entire ego and personality may transform drastically. Negative traits and characteristics will be abandoned and let go. Self-cherishing and self-grasping will be replaced by the cherishing and loving of others. One will gain more control over one's emotions and deep-seated habitual responses. Spiritual practices such as meditation, contemplation, prayer, letting go, and surrender will help to give one mastery over the mental delusions of the ego. Presence and awareness will fill one with peace, contentment, and joy. Judgments and opinions will lessen as one begins to view society from an attitude of compassion and loving kindness. Integrous choices, aligned with truth and the greatest good, will occur spontaneously as a natural expression of an evolved comprehension of life. One's spiritual discernment will guide one's behavior and bypass the need to rely on commandments, laws, or morality. Being good and trying to always do what is best will become one's nature and common sense. The gradual relinquishment of the narcissistic core of the ego will lead to the discovery that the real source of contentment, peace, fulfillment, happiness, and joy is the true inner, higher self beyond ego. Through the ego, life is a series of constantly changing attractions and aversions, fears and transient pleasures. With maturity, the evolving soul learns to surrender poor choices and choose wiser ones. Spiritual purification is difficult at first, then progressively more easy and natural. A loss to the ego can be recognized as a gain to the spirit. Letting go of resentment, hatred, greed, anger, desire, and pride may arouse a great sense of fear or dread to the ego, as these qualities are cherished and seem justified. But undoing these habitual programs is the very process of spiritual work. To constantly choose love, peace, and forgiveness leads one up. With spiritual maturity, the ego payoff of being better, more successful, winning, hating enemies, being right and making others wrong, seems disappointing and hollow. With genuine spiritual growth and maturity, one becomes more understanding, disciplined, accepting, courageous, well-rounded, compassionate, content, peaceful, capable, willing, forgiving, and loving. One will also become less judgmental, hostile, opinionated, mean, angry, hurtful, resentful, selfish, greedy, jealous, needy, irritable, self-centered, close-minded, arrogant, and prejudiced. Spiritual work is not of the intellect or the ego. The words are not the things to be realized or memorized. The words are mere concepts, labels pointing at the truth. The meaning and essence of the teachings is what needs to be sought and understood. And the truths learned must be put into daily practice to be effective. Spiritual truth exists beyond the words. The purpose of information is for it to be absorbed with familiarity, then mature into understanding. Spiritual teachings need to be accepted to become integrated. Spiritual understanding in itself has the capacity to transform, as old styles of thinking are surrendered and transcended. All resistance to spiritual growth comes from the ego, which lacks humility and out of pride resents being wrong. It is helpful to realize that one is not giving up wrong views, but merely adopting better ones. That love is better than hate and peace is better than war may make sense to the intellect, but the ego may revolt at giving up its favorite hate and justified resentments. Letting go of the old is aided by willingness, courage, and faith. Spiritual maturity develops in all spiritual truth seekers in relation to the power of their intention, dedication, motivation, desire, effort, and willingness. The greatest spiritual masters of all time all taught the truth, and the truth is beyond label, concept, or any one institution, organization, or religion. To learn more about our spiritual reality, continue your journey with this video on the screen now, where I explain the difference between spiritual and religious. Thank you, and Namaste.